I'm John, and this is my beautiful wife, Dina. We are the Martins. I have been in local law enforcement some 30 years. Now, we are both from the area. We've been here all of our lives. Dina and I met in 2009 after both of us had suffered through tragic divorces. I said, I really want to do this right, and I'd like to take her to a church. What do you recommend? And Tim's like, well, you should go to First Baptist Church at Windermere with me. And I kind of looked at him a little funny because I don't look like Windermere, just don't. And my bride now, she kind of doesn't look like Windermere either. We're both pierced and tattooed. But I thought about it and I prayed about it, and I had been praying about it because I wanted God to bring me an angel. And he did, he brought me Dina. So I presented her with it, and she thought I might be crazy.
When John suggested that we go to First Baptist Church Windermere, I was reluctant because I grew up in Pine Hills. I'm tattooed, I'm pierced, kind of come from the other side of the tracks, so to speak. So I didn't really feel like it would be a place I'd be accepted or I would belong.
We decided to go one Sunday and understand that suffering through a divorce that both of us had gone through, finances were not good. She had a 98 Chevy Malibu. I somewhat part-time owned my truck with the ex-wife, and we had a Harley. So we drove the 98 Chevy Malibu back and forth to church, and when we went to church on this Sunday, we pulled in the parking lot, and the whole parking lot's filled with, Lexus, Mercedes, shiny cars, pretty trucks. And we were like, wow, we really don't belong here. Just didn't feel like we belonged here. We persevered, we got out of the car, and as we're walking up the walkway to go to the downtown campus front doors, I'll never forget him. Standing at the door was a man about 3 times my size, had hair down the middle of his back, tattoos up both arms. And he stuck his hand out, and he said, welcome home, brother. We hadn't left.
When we walked up to the door that first day and Danny was there and he was in his jeans and his boots, and it was just a very laid back, welcoming atmosphere, I felt comfortable. I felt at home. I felt like it was a place that we could belong.
We didn't know that first day what was in store for us in the next couple years. On November 4th, 2012, Dustin was killed. And that was just shy of a year after he came to know Christ and was baptized at First Baptist. I know where my son is because I had an invitation to a church from a friend who asked me to go. I know where my son is because a guy standing at the door cared enough to look like me, act like me, and make me feel like I was at home in this church. We went through some tough times then.
That night that the accident happened, as we left the accident scene, the very first phone call that we got was from Pastor Chuck. He wanted to make sure that we were okay, that we didn't need anything immediately. The outpouring of love from our church family was so much more than I could have ever asked for. And it's truly what got us through, especially in the early days.
I couldn't imagine doing those 12 years alone. And I don't mean without her, I mean her and I doing those without God, without our church family by our side through everything. The critical, most important part of all of this is, it started with an invitation from church. Remember, hey, why don't you all come to my church? Had he never made the invitation, our lives would have been completely different. Would have been in a completely different place than we are right now.
In the early days of our relationship, coming out of terrible divorces, we were trying to pick the pieces of our lives back up and create a new family, so finances were tough. We were driving a rather beat up 1998 Chevy Malibu back and forth to church that needed some things done to it. We had heard Pastor Chuck preach a couple times on tithing, and we truly wanted to be obedient, but it just seemed like there was never enough to tithe and pay the bills. So one Sunday morning, we're sitting in church, and it comes time for offering. The bills had been paid and groceries had been bought. We had enough money left to do what we needed to do to the car, but not also tithe. So if we fixed the car, we couldn't tithe, but if we tithed, we couldn't fix the car. So as the offering plate's coming towards us, I just start praying, God, lead me, tell me what you want me to do. And I felt overwhelmingly that he wanted me to be obedient and tithe. So when the offering plate came by, I dropped the money in the plate and just kind of sighed and said, okay, I'm gonna trust you. That morning we walked out of church to get in the car, and there was an offering envelope on the windshield. And written on the back of the offering envelope said, for a new tire for your car, and inside was a $100 bill. And we both cried. There in the parking lot of the church, we both cried.
This church understands that success is not financial, it's spiritual. The church wants to become a success in a community by the number of souls we bring to Christ, not the number of dollars we collect in a plate. But we also have to understand that you can't bring those souls to Christ without the dollars in the plate. We also understand, and the thing that I'm excited about is the fact that we're branching out and that we're putting campuses within 15 minutes of anybody that needs a church. That's immense. This Dream Center is going to reach so many people and change so many lives, and to be able to be blessed enough to be over here serving every Sunday, to be able to maybe be that guy at the door. That's the blessing.